I'm Carol Angela Davis with your reality news check. Today is July 18th, 2011. We're going to begin with our headlines for today because there is just so much drama out there today. Okay, let's begin with President Obama. On our debt ceiling watch, we'll tell you the latest there. The Republicans ignored a deadline set by the president. Plus, one legislator calls out the disrespect, asking, is it racism? Also today, we'll tell you exactly what will happen if a deal is not reached. We'll give you the straight-up, hardcore numbers, the money, if an agreement is not reached in time. Plus, does Eric Cantor have a conflict of interest? Wait till you hear this. Plus, Michelle Bachman better start praying away the gay if the rumors are true about her husband. We'll tell you what they are. Plus, Rupert Murdoch, oh, what a tangled web, as we've said, we weave. They're calling it the fall of the House of Murdoch. And then finally today, more assassinations in Afghanistan. They kill them over there. Okay, let's get going. We're going to begin with your news. House Republican leaders missed that 36-hour deadline President Obama set for lawmakers to give him a plan to avert a national default. The deadline came and went, as you know, over the weekend, exactly Saturday morning, and there was not even a peep from House Speaker John Boehner, Republican from Ohio. Instead, they ignored the president, and John Boehner and House Majority Leader Eric Cantor, Republican from Virginia, say they're going to move ahead on that Cut, Cap, and Balance Act. That's going to happen on the floor this week. It requires passage of a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution before the debt limit is raised. It not only cuts, but it also caps. The legislation cutting $111 billion in fiscal 2012, caps spending at 18% of gross domestic product by 2021, and authorizes a $2.4 trillion increase in the debt limit after Congress passes a balanced budget amendment. Now this, as Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, a Democrat from Texas, she is strongly suggesting that members of Congress are making it difficult for President Obama to raise the debt ceiling because of his race. Lee says this, and I quote, "I do not understand what I think is the maligning and maliciousness toward this president. In the minority community, this is the question that is being raised. Why is this president being treated so disrespectfully? Why has the debt limit been raised 60 times? Why did the leader of the Senate continually talk about his job to bring the president down to make sure he is unelected?" Unquote. Is it racism? Here's the definition of racism from the dictionary. A belief or doctrine that inherent differences among the various human races determine cultural or individual achievement, usually involving the idea that one's own race is superior and has the right to rule others. Ask yourself, we're not supposed to talk about racism, well, put it this way, we're not supposed to call anybody a racist in this country, but the fact is some people in this country are racist, and some of them are in the House, and some of them are in the Senate, and we know that. So let's just call it out so we can get the country back on track. All right, how bad can this lack of support for the president get? Well, here's what The Hill publication is saying. In a presentation to the House Republican Conference last week, Jay Powell, a former undersecretary at the Treasury Department under George H.W. Bush and a visiting scholar at the Bipartisan Policy Center, laid out just what will happen if a deal is not reached. Okay, here's what's going to happen. On August 3rd, according to Powell's presentation, the federal government will be on the hook for $32 billion in committed spending. Now, this includes $23 billion in Social Security checks, $500 million in federal workers' salaries, $1.4 billion owed to the Defense Department vendors, and $100 million in refunds that the IRS owes to businesses. On the same day, the government is going to take in only $12 billion in revenue, okay? $12 billion in revenue, giving the government a $20 billion cash deficit. Then by August 15th, when the federal government is on the hook for a $29 billion interest payment, the cash shortfall by then will have grown to $74 billion and possibly more if interest rates on U.S. debt rise. Will they rise? Well, Moody's may have to downgrade us, so if so, then of course they will rise. And then finally on our debt ceiling watch, according to the Huffington Post, some House Dems are reportedly accusing Eric Cantor, again, a Republican from Virginia, one of the lead Republicans in the debt ceiling negotiations, of having a conflict of interest. Apparently, Cantor has an investment in ProShares Trust, ultra-short, 20-plus year Treasury EFT. That's a fund that takes a short position in long-dated government bonds. The fund is basically a bet against U.S. government bonds. If the debt ceiling is not raised and if the United States defaults on its debts, the value of Cantor's funds would likely increase. You tell me why he's allowed to be invested in something like this. See, this is stuff that's just all haywire. He can't invest in something that's betting against the very country he's in the business of making laws and policies and procedures to keep on the right track. No, no. Lots of changes, honey. Lots of changes on the hill. All right, in business news, shocking is all I can say. To see an empire in disgrace, they're calling it the fall of the House of Murdoch. Over the weekend, Rebecca Brooks arrested on suspicion of conspiring to intercept communications and suspicion of corruption. She was the editor of the News of the World from 2001 to 2003. That's when reporters allegedly hacked into the voicemail of a missing schoolgirl who was later found murdered. They erased some of her voicemails. Now Scotland Yard suspects there could be as many as 4,000 hacking victims. And let's face it, folks, that's just in the UK. Brooks now out on bail, and you might want to know this. Well, you ask yourself, who is this woman? Well, guess what? We found out that her first marriage apparently ended sometime after she allegedly assaulted her husband in a domestic dispute, spent the night in jail, but was never charged. Wonder how that happened, paying off those cops. Okay. All right. Now, also, who else? Well, of course, over the weekend, Dow Jones Chief Executive Les Hinton, he stepped down after being with News Corp for 52 years. Plus, get this, London's top cop, police chief, says he's going to resign. His name's Sir Paul Stevenson. He's the Metropolitan Police Commissioner. He says he must leave his office because police officers may have been paid off on his watch. So now, News of the World is closed. Its offices have been cordoned off as a crime scene. And just 2 weeks ago, Murdoch was the most powerful media magnate in the world. And that should show the American wealthy. I'll tell you something. Everybody can fall. Do not be silly about this debt ceiling. All right. In the race for the presidency 2012, oh boy, wait till you hear this. The rumor mill is churning. That's right. The word in some circles is that Michelle Bachman's husband is a closeted gay man. You heard me correctly. All right, he is also very anti-gay. Very anti-gay. Apparently, Jon Stewart recently joked about Marcus, that's the husband's name, about Marcus saying this, quote, the guy is an Izod shirt away from being the gay character on Modern Family. I love John. Sorry, now as we all know, Michelle Bachman has been very outspoken about her anti-gay marriage conversations. In fact, she has reportedly said this. Involvement in the gay and lesbian lifestyle is a life of personal bondage, personal despair, and personal enslavement. Ooh. And Marcus runs a Christian-based therapy clinic. That clinic was accused of dabbling in reparative therapy, a controversial counseling technique based on the idea that you can pray away the gay. Marcus also reportedly compared bi-curious youth to barbarians who must be educated and disciplined. This, as Republican, this we're talking about, remember, we did start out by talking about the race for the presidency 2012. All right, so let's go to another candidate, Herman Cain. Here's what he says. This is about his qualifications. He says he's more experienced candidate for presidency than Michelle Bachman. Cain is the former CEO of Godfather's Pizza. He says he has more direct hands-on experience and stronger credentials than literally many of the other candidates. That's probably true. Finally, today in international news, can you believe they are killing people in Afghanistan? 2 additional Afghan assassinations. Number 1, top aide to Afghan President Hamid Karzai. His top aide has been killed. Police say Jan Mohammed Khan was killed in his home. They always kill him at home. By 2 gunmen. Khan was governor of the Aruskan province, but was removed in 2006 over his alleged drug connections. Mohammed, and that was the first killing. The second killing is Mohammed Hasham Watanwal, a member of the same province's parliament. Oh, yeah. He was killed, and you should remember last week, President Hamid Karzai's half-brother was killed, assassinated in his house, and he's an alleged drug kingpin, Ahmed, that was his name, excuse me, he was an alleged drug kingpin. His name was Ahmed Wali Karzai, again, the half-brother of Hamid Karzai, the president of Afghanistan. He was killed last week, assassinated again, as I said, in his home by one of his bodyguards, shot in the chest with an AK-47, okay? They kill him in Afghanistan. We need to get out of there, okay? Those are your stories. Thanks for joining me. I'm Carol Angela Davis, coming to you via Skype. your reality news check for July 18th, 2011. See you tomorrow.